Well, I'm back. My new career that I tried yesterday didn't exactly work out. Uncle Sam was not too happy with the way that I was a USA border agent handling people's visas and stuff like that. I thought I did a great job. And I encourage you guys to go watch that video and let me know in the comment section of that video how I handled people coming into the country, because I think I was very fair and I think I did an excellent job, but evidently I didn't. So here we are. We're back to normal video game news. But lo and behold, we do have some interesting things to talk about today, because one of my good friends put out a new video, a new report about how Nintendo is going to handle 2025 in terms of announcements and timing of things. And I think this is very interesting stuff that is worth talking about. So first time on the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's start talking about it. And before we get into the bigger portion for a lot of people, which will of course be Nintendo Switch 2 related timing, there was another nugget of information in the Nate the Hate podcast. I'll have a link to it in the description box down below. Make sure you guys go show him some love. It's about an hour or so long. Listen to it in the background. But one thing that was said that was in there that I thought was interesting was the announcement of yet another port coming to the Nintendo Switch, I guess potentially the Switch family of systems, in 2025 with Kirby Planet Robobot. Now, I have mixed feelings on this because I am actually a big fan of that game. I think that game is one of the best Kirby games of all time. It's a very enjoyable experience, very, very fun. It was a 3DS game that looked and played absolutely magnificent. However, this is Nintendo, and I think that they're going to do that $60 price point on it. And it's like, I don't get that. When the original game came out at $40, you obviously were planning things like budget, resources, time spent on it. Now the game already exists, and it being brought over to the Nintendo Switch shouldn't automatically mean that it has to be a $60 game. I think a $40 to $50 release is a lot more manageable. And I know what you're saying. Well, you know, if it's a $50 release, that's only $10 less than $60. What's the big deal? The big deal is you have to let companies know that not all games are created equal when it comes to a price point. You're going to sit there and tell me that a 3DS port of a game is of the same quality as something like Super Mario Odyssey, which came out at $60. Like, no. Obviously, these are two different budgets, two different sizes and scopes. And you could even say, well, what about Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition? I mean, there are clearly changes done to that game, and the size and scope of a game like Xenoblade Chronicles X versus a game like Kirby Planet Robobot, it's night and day. I mean, there's so many different things. That's a huge RPG adventure, whereas this is a Kirby game essentially with some new mechanics thrown into it. So hopefully there's some new content in this game. I'm not trying to rain on people's parades. I love this game, but I'm definitely leery about the price point of it, because if it's $60, I just feel like that's unacceptable. And I think there are a lot of people that feel that way as well. But what about the Nintendo Switch 2 itself? Because that's obviously what 99% of people care about when it comes to Nintendo stuff. Obviously, we do know there will be some sort of thing to some degree happening before the end of March of 2025, but release windows, all that sort of stuff, when these things are going to happen, that's kind of what we are all kind of anticipating. And I mean, there's been lots of Nintendo channels that have told you it's coming every week for the past 12 weeks, but now it looks like we have a little bit more of a potential concise time window for this. And like I said, I trust Nate way more than I trust random Reset Era or random Family Boards users that come along, because I actually know the guy and I know that he tends to know his stuff. He has told me things off the record that I was like, no, that's not real. And then it ended up being real, and I was like, oh, damn. And that was like 6-7 years ago. And ever since then, I've trusted the guy. So when will the Switch 2 announcement be? Well, Allegedly, it will be late January or early February as far as kind of showcasing the system off. Then, as far as a release window, there is the potential for a May or June release, as there has been some industry chatter surrounding that. But he's also heard about a Switch 2 blowout event in May as well, which would kind of put a damper on the May or June release. So the way I kind of see this is I kind of see this playing out similar to the original Switch. Like, you got that first look at the system, and then we got a blowout of the system as far as games and stuff like that were concerned, and then we had the release of the system. I think that makes a little bit more sense as far as how to handle this. A May or June release for it, like, I don't know. That just seems weird to me because I'm kind of the mindset that this is going to be a fall release. So let's say in late January, early February, they do like a 2-3 minute trailer of the system itself, showcasing the system features, and little glimpses here and there of various games running on it. Obviously, you're not going to get everything in that first sort of trailer. Then, for the second trailer, the blowout event sort of thing that we have, that's where you show off all of your software, whether it be from first-party or third-party companies, indie games, you know, whatever you want to show off at this thing. And I don't think, you know, to me, I don't think it would be like a direct style thing, although they could do that. Like, you have to imagine that there's going to be enough software to have, like, specifically a Switch 2 related event as far as like a direct is concerned, where you showcase various games from first and third party companies. Because these third party companies, man, I'm telling you, they're going to be there with the ports. This is going to be a situation completely different than what we saw with the original Nintendo Switch. When you look at the original Nintendo Switch and like what games came out within the release window, you know, the first 3, 4, 5 months of it, like, this is going to be completely different. You're not going to have to rely on just one game with this, Breath of the Wild, to sort of steer the ship and make people excited for this. This is going to be something more akin to pretty much every console launch that we have seen, because Nintendo has done a decent job of instilling faith in third-party developers. And third-party developers usually do pretty well when a new system launches, because people want to buy games alongside of that system, and they don't necessarily care if it's like, you know, legendary games. Look at something like the Nintendo 64. Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey was super popular for that system because it was a launch game. Like, it was an arcade hockey game at the end of the day with it, but it was very popular with the system because it came out very early in the system's life cycle. So I think you're going to see something like that. And then, you know, I'm still kind of fallish on the actual release of the system, especially when you look at the lineup of games like we have talked about before. You already have a Switch game with that Donkey Kong downgrade. Go watch that video if you haven't yet, coming out in January. March, you have Xenoblade Chronicles X. You have a new Pokemon, the ZA, whatever it is. You have Metroid Prime 4. You have evidently Kirby Planet Robobot as well. So, like, I feel like you could have parallel things running with this right now. You could still have these Switch games coming out, but your main focus is going to be on the Switch 2. But if you have these Switch games coming out, are you really in a big rush to get like a summer crowd, or are you more interested in the traditional fall leading into the holiday season lineup of things? I guess it really remains to be seen, but I think this does paint a more clear picture of how 2025 is going to play out, and I completely trust Nate, like I said. So I am saying all of this with utmost confidence. So let me know in the comments down below, what are you thinking? How are you feeling about this? What do you think about Kirby Planet Robobot getting a port to the Switch? It's like, bro, okay, before we wrap up here, there is one 3DS game that needs a port to the Nintendo Switch more so than any other one. And you all know what that game is. You all know what that game is, and it is Metroid Samus Returns. Have you played that game at upscaled stuff? It looks gorgeous. It is a fun game that is stuck on the 3DS. Yes, you could play Metroid 2 on Nintendo Switch online, but why not play this visually enhanced version that has quality of life features as well? Like, this is the game. This is the game you port to the Switch. Nobody's buying a 3DS unless they're hacking it. And then they're not buying the game anyways. And you can't buy a 3DS and a new games for it anyways. So why is this not the game? Get your shit together, Nintendo. God, put that game on the Switch. Just put it on there. Ugh. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of everything in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you for checking out this video. Like I said, be sure to go check out Nate the Hates podcast. I'll have a link to it in the description box down below. Also, go check out yesterday's video because, you know, I tried to do something different and I was let go of the job. I thought I did well, though. I thought I did well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.